What do you think are some of the challenges that organisations face in relation to race equality in the workplace?
I think it's really challenging. We've carried out some research and polls recently, and sort of 50%, more than 50% that fed back said organisations didn't know what to do. I think that's the starting point as a challenge. There is no kind of roadmap that we can copy other organisations. So some key things that kind of come out are there's a lot of talk, words, but it is a meaningful action. And it's a meaningful action that's missing. A lot of organisations will sign a charter, and in principle the information on the charter is really good, but there is no how to. How do you address these issues? So that's a challenge for most organisations. The other thing, as you see in other things that's successful in a business, is lack of accountability and transparency. And when organisations or senior leaders are making a comment or a commitment, is it measurable? So without these sort of business basics, it doesn't happen. We know a lot of organisations have some fantastic networks, and that can be gender networks, but also race networks. But quite often they are fantastic support groups, and have been very good recently for the well-being of especially black employees, but they have no power or no influence to create change. And the biggest thing, I think, is the difference between the networks, the ethnic minority colleagues and senior leadership. There is a gap and a lack of accessibility. And the big thing we hear is we're never listened to. Our voice and our opinions aren't taken on board. And I think if any of these things are addressed, then that will be the start.
That's really insightful. And how do you think that organisations can address some of these issues and create more interventions with regards to race equality?
I think one thing we're looking to do is create collaboration so we can learn from each other. Because I think there are little solutions everywhere. But you know what Barclays may do, Tesco's may do, or a small local organisation may do would be very different. But why can't we put all this together? But I think it's having accountability. I think a key starting point is having a senior leader sponsor who will champion this. And we've seen the differences made with gender, we've seen it with LGBTQ+, but very few organisations have this in place. And it's then actually having a real clear action plan where actually the whole organisation lives and breathes it. From some research we've done, 56% of employees that fed back said they didn't know whether their organisation did have a plan, an action plan. And many of these organisations have signed a charter, so it's not getting down there. So it's, and importantly, is listening and involving and working in partnership with ethnic minority colleagues. Quite often problems are passed down, or the problems are taken by HR or senior leadership, but they don't work together. Listen to the voices of your employees, work in partnership. And I think when employees start seeing a difference being made, they then trust and they believe.
Everything you've said comes back to that one word, action. And you have Race Equality Week happening the 1st to 7th of February. Please tell us about that.
It's quite interesting how that's come about. I think in recent months we've had the Black Lives Matter demonstrations. There's been a lot of action, and rightly so. But our concern was you've had the summer, and then what's going to happen after that? And already we're noticing the talk about race and inequality is going down. Good timing-wise, we had Black History Month, absolutely fantastic, and that's brought it back up. But what next? Do we have to wait for Black History Month 2021? That's a long window. So what organisations and individuals like is can we unite across the country with a meaningful action? And that's where Race Equality Week was born. What we were surprised about, many people we spoke to thought it already existed, but when you Google it, it doesn't. Something so simple. We know the difference International Women's Day makes. We know the difference that Mental Health Awareness Week's make, but there's nothing in the UK for race equality. So that's what it's all about. And so it's 1st to 7th of February, as many organisations to get involved, and it's action driven. We've created 4 ways that organisations get involved. One is a virtual pin badge campaign because of COVID. You know, we're not going to be able to wear the physical one, but we've seen how the poppy makes a difference, the daffodil from Marie Curie, or the green ribbon for mental health. So that's entry point. The second one is safe space, where it's allowing 3 parts to it. C-suite individuals, 3 to 5, will meet with about 10 ethnic minority colleagues. 3 parts to it. The first part is what we call Education Light, where they ask questions to the ethnic minority colleagues, questions that they may feel could be inappropriate or come across as racist outside the room, and it's a Chatham House rules. A good example is, what's the issue with the term BAME? A very hot topic at the moment.
Absolutely.
but they couldn't ask that outside. But it's a chance to hear from individuals why some are comfortable and some not, but it's a real chance. Second bit, more importantly, is the ethnic minority colleagues raise concerns about race inequality in their organisation. Examples we're getting already is we're really good at ground level, 15% ethnic minority coming in, but after that only 1% get promoted. Or we do great at ground level, but we're finding within 6 months a lot of black women leave our organisation. So what's going on here? The idea is then the C-suite leave for a month, come back, and then say, right, you gave us 5 issues, we're going to tackle 2 with you. And that's in partnership. So issue 1 we're going to tackle within 3 months, and then the other issue we're going to tackle in 12 months with you. But for the first time, the voice of the ethnic minority being heard and actions being taken. The third part is something called the Big Promise, which is basically in the summer there were a lot of organisations making statements, but what's happened? And our evidence has shown nothing's happened. You know, Black Lives Matter, we must do more, but nothing's happened. The Big Promise has been built up by those with lived experiences, saying if people in an organisation made one of these promises, it will make a real difference to race inequality. And there's Magnificent 7. So there's 7 for C-suite, 7 for senior leaders, 7 for allies, and 7 for ethnic minority colleagues. Now this will make a difference. So that we've got the badge, we've got the safe space, and we've got the Big Promise. And the fourth thing is, we know some organisations are really trying to do something about this. So why don't you do your own thing during Race Equality Week? And if we have thousands of organisations across the country, in Oxford, getting involved in this, well, then that'll make a real difference.
I think it would be absolutely great if Oxford got involved in Race Equality Week. But how would you ensure after Race Equality Week that it's not just a moment, but it's a movement?
I think the movement is absolutely crucial. And when you try anything, we're giving it a go. And you do your best and we learn from it. But the feedback we've had so far is speaking to individuals and organisations, they need something like this. It's something to focus on. And the feedback, it's not happened yet, but 89% of people think it will have a real impact on race inequality in their organisation by having this focus. So all being well, if that's the results after it, we know it's going to stay. The Green Ribbon was an idea for mental health. Now 800 organisations are doing it. Other initiatives start off. Black History Month started off, and now it keeps going and growing further. So we think that's going to happen. The whole concept of all this is built with ethnic minority individuals around the country, and we'll learn from it and grow on it, and it will grow year on year. I don't see why it will stop. It's like all these other initiatives that are in the diary. We want it to be an annual commitment. But what we will do is we'll keep activity going on throughout the year, so it's not wait a year. It'll be a key start. An organisation that might have been late to the table, they can do safe space late in the year. It's not just that month.
So how have you ensured that Race Equality Week has captured the ideas and the considerations of BAME people?
So we run something called Solutions Collaboratories. In effect, they're a form of brainstorm, but done very differently. So this involves ethnic minority, a mixture, male, female, young, old, different backgrounds, different organisations, different parts of the country. And the way the Solution Collaboratory works, and it's based on something created by Google initially, is brainstorming in silence. So when we have a room, and the most senior or loud person's ideas don't necessarily get through. It's done in silence. So basically, the best ideas get through. Everything's voted anonymously by the group. So again, the best ideas get through. So this is how we do it. And what we get to the feedback is, at the end, people feel we all were part of this. We then take it to another stage and then roll it past a new cohort and say, look, does this work? What's different? So quite often these have gone through 4 or 5 different iterations. I'd say for most of our initiatives like Safe Space, it's involved at least 50 different people across the country. And now we're just asking organisations to give it a go. But what we're doing is we're creating guides and how to. So if someone like yourself was going to drive it for your organisation, we're not saying just go do Safe Space. Here's a guide, and we'll run a workshop. But also you'll be working with or be able to communicate with other colleagues in other businesses and organisations to be involved in this so we can learn from each other. So at the heart of this are ethnic minority people, individuals, and we're hearing what they're saying, adapting, testing, and the passion there is fantastic. We've got like 600 organisations now signed up to be involved in some of these programmes.
This is really inspirational and insightful. So any last words?
I think it was actually from a picture I saw, and actually I spoke to a 60-year-old guy who's been through a number of things, the Brixton riots, the Stephen Lawrence, and he said there's hope at the moment, but we may lose it. So I think it sums up something he said was actually we can't change the past, but we can change the future.
Thank you.